it's Joseph Rosales again, joined by my co-host Ike Devji, and welcome to the Business in the New Normal podcast, where we talk about balanced information that can help businesses and people survive, but more than survive, thrive in this very challenging environment we find ourselves in. Ike, how are you this morning?
I'm doing well, Joseph. Thank you. How are you doing?
Fantastic. And in a moment, we're going to get to our guest, Julie Fletcher. But for now, we're going to kind of share, just like we always do every week, we're going to talk a little bit about some top of mind things that are going on, things that we feel are important to share with our listening audience. So, Ike, talk about what's going on in your world. You're an asset protection attorney and a wealth management guy, and you help people, your clients all over the country, to protect themselves during very challenging times. So, what's going on?
Thank you. Well, we're working on a bunch of different things for different people. One thing that's going on generally right now, at least in the legal side of things where I am, is that people across the country are engaging in estate planning, tax planning, and other business legal planning, including asset protection before the end of the year. And that's being driven by a few different things. It's being driven by their I guess realistic fear of their own mortality, given the ongoing COVID-19 crisis that we're all working our way through, and the way our numbers are peaking has driven a lot of people to think about what would happen if it happened to them. So those folks are not only doing personal estate planning, they're doing business succession planning, and they're looking at protecting their assets from the exposures that we've talked about on many previous episodes, to their business. What happens if somebody gets sick? What happens if there's a claim against me? What happens if there's an employment lawsuit because of I had to lay people off, or I required people to behave in a certain way? So we're dealing with this mixed bag of things that are all about that. And folks, of course, are concerned about the tax changes that the election may bring, both on their personal income tax side and on their estate tax side, for those who are fortunate enough to actually have an estate tax exposure. Right now, that really only applies to people worth only $23 million in net worth for combined for a married couple, but that number may come down drastically, and a lot of people are acting on that.
Hmm. Well, so we just came through an election, we think. Nobody's quite sure where it's headed, but it looks like there's some direction. Um, how's that influencing anything on your end with your clients?
Well, the election, most of the informed people I talk to do understand that even if um, there is some change in the vote tallies, the math simply isn't there,
Mm.
and that Biden is the president. That seems to be the general educated consensus. Whether everybody is enjoying that fact or not is a very different question.
Mm. Yeah.
But based on that, we do have a lot of people taking the estate tax issue very seriously and planning for that new regime. And one thing that we try and advise people on is that yes, there's an estate tax and it's optional. You can either pay it or you can plan not to pay it. So that's how that works. So we have a lot of people engaging in that planning right now.
Mm. Well, it's really interesting, and as I intimated, we had an election, and close to half the people in the country are not all that happy about the results, and the other half are ecstatic. And it's interesting because it's going to be a very interesting 12 to 18 months coming up. And one of the things that we're seeing is a lot of people are really happy that maybe we can get some civility back into society, and people can be kinder and more inclusive, and maybe less divisive. And I'm for one hoping that all happens. And it's a challenge, though, because as you see a country divided along political lines, along racial lines, along financial lines, along a lot of different lines, I'm hoping that there's a message out there that comes out and resonates with everybody, that just pulls us all closer together. And that's important for all of us, whether you're red or blue or purple. It's important that we all kind of move together in the same, supporting each other and believing in each other and helping each other. And doing those things. But you know, it brings to me a conversation that I've been seeing happen around me, and it's happening in my own circles. You know, we know how divisive the mask, no mask issue has been across the country, across the world, probably, but more here in the United States. What's it going to be like when it's vaccine, no vaccine? That's an interesting one because I can see if somebody has a mask on or not, and you can measure and monitor that very easily. How do you do that with a vaccine? And if a vaccine is mandated, how are they going to track that? How are they going to know if somebody walks into your bank or walks into your office or walks into, you know, a building of ours and they have a vaccine or no vaccine? It's an interesting conversation. And as you start to take it apart and take apart the layers, it ain't an easy one because if a vaccine is mandated at some point in the near future, it's going to be really, really potentially divisive. And so, for all those people that took a deep sigh of relief and said, "Oh, good, it's on," guess what? We're still in for some changes, and we're get ready for a bumpy road because there's some bumps in front of us. But that's the good news, because with those kinds of bumps comes opportunity. With those kinds of bumps comes those people that are clear, those people that are informed, those people that are looking at it as an opportunity instead of a you know, a roadblock, are going to have a massive opportunity to do some great things. So I'm excited about that. um, you know, I want to encourage people to go to the business in the new normal group site that we're launching, I think, or relaunching in the next couple of days, for
Absolutely.
some amazing information that Ike and I and others are posting that is just objective, not left or right, just objective information that can help people stay informed, because it's so difficult. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago that, you know, when you watch the news, if you watch CNN or you watch Fox, you get two very different stories about the same issue, right? And so which do you do? Now, me, I flip between the two of them. I watch the same thing, and it's amazing to get the different story. But the important thing is to be balanced, to be aware where you're getting your information. Because if you, my son for a while was getting all his news from Twitter. I'm like, Taylor, you can't get your news from Twitter because, I mean, that's just somebody's opinion. So news programs have become in many ways opinion programs, not news programs, because everybody shapes it and spins it the way they want to. But that's my wife's new word. Oh my gosh, there's a big spin. And people have become masterful at spinning their perspectives to move people. So it's interesting. So check that out. The new business in the new normal. We have the podcast. We have the group site. It's going to be. I think we're going to open it to the public pretty soon, right? Later on this week. Is that right?
Yes, we're going to open the LinkedIn group, which is what you're referring
Okay. Yeah.
to make it publicly visible,
Okay.
and so that a wider group of people can see the information that we're posting there, including links to all these shows.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. Well, with that being said, we want to engage our guest now. She's been amazingly patient and waiting for us to get through some openings here. I met Julie Fletcher about a little over a year ago, and we've had a great business relationship since then, and friendship, which I might add, which I enjoy. Julie is Vice President of Business Banking and the team lead for Enterprise Bank and Trust. Julie holds a master's degree in business administration, a Bachelor of Science in business operations, and a minor in accounting. And for over 21 years, has experience as an entrepreneur and a business owner. Amazing background for what you normally think as a banker who knows numbers. She knows business. During her first 8.5 years as a business owner, Julie operated a successful small business development firm that expanded into the Arizona market and then opened 6 offices throughout the state. During that time, she was recognized as a market leader in the construction, licensing, and surety bond industries, and aided in the startup and development of over 8,000 businesses. That's a lot of businesses. I've been in this space a long time. I don't know that I've hit 8,000. So that, congratulations. Julie's second endeavor was a consulting firm that assisted both domestic and international entrepreneurs with the startup and development of their businesses. So today, Julie uses her skills and knowledge, both past and present, to assist banking clients with their financial success. She's a member of the Public Policy Committee for the Arizona Small Business Association and treasurer and board of the Arizona Apparel Foundation. Julie, welcome.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, well, thank you. It's an amazing background you have, and with that extensive background in business, you see a lot of different things happening. You see a lot of different businesses at different levels and different stages. What are some of the more common challenges you're seeing in businesses over the past several months from your perspective?
So I think the biggest problem, or I would say issue that people have faced has been how to pivot their business if it isn't working in this new norm. The PPP, the payroll protection program that the government issued, gave some relief to a lot of individuals who had to shut their businesses down, and there's a lot of new rules around that PPP loan that were kind of unknown in the initial phases of it. So a lot of people are right now navigating through the forgiveness aspect of that. They're hoping for more money. And it's interesting, Joseph, because there are people that have just struggled so desperately, others that have seen an opportunity and grabbed it and have shifted and grown exponentially. Can I give you an example of one of my clients?
Please, absolutely.
Okay. A new clothing designer came up with a new product, launched it, had millions of dollars into the development and launch of their new product line, had a manufacturer cutting and sewing and ready to go. And this hit, the pandemic hit, and everything stopped. Every store that had was purchasing their new product canceled their orders. Wow. And rightfully so, they had to shut their businesses down too, right? Wow. So Dillard's, no Nordstrom's, any place that you can think of, their doors are closed. After thinking through it with family and friends and bankers, they realized that there was a huge need for PPE, right? For the equipment, for the clothing, for the masks. And they got certified, designed clothing for the doctors that you didn't have to just throw in the trash, that you could actually sanitize and reuse. Now they have huge contracts with multiple hospitals and offices and medical professionals, and they are skyrocketing.
Wow.
Will they finally eventually someday launch that line? I think so, but it had to shift into this new design, and it's paid them quite well.
That's amazing because, reusable and more eco-friendly PPE. It's a great idea. Yeah. Wow. That's very cool. So there are others, and we'll come back to those in a minute. But one of the things that we were talking about when you and I chatted the other day was, there's some things that the bank can do, that you can do to help people go from where they are to where they would like to be. And I know that, some of it's money and financials. What are some of those things that the bank can help people with?
Sure. We can run cash flow analysis for them. We can take a look at their numbers and tell them where we believe they can make some changes to be more cash flow efficient. And we do that for free. We offer that as a service to anyone who needs some advice. What we really do is turn into their trusted advisor, much like their attorney, their business coach, etc. If it's needed, we can help them financially with lines of credit. A lot of our clients that were struggling, we took a look at their numbers and we froze their monthly payments. We stopped them for 6 months so they didn't have to make their payments on their loans.
Wow.
And met with them monthly, not physically, but online, to see how they were doing. I had a client that was struggling when this hit, and he had a product line that even in the pandemic people could buy, but they were stifled by everything going on. And after a conversation we had, they purchased a book on how to really align their sales force, and they turned their business around over the next 6 months. And now they're growing beyond their their budgeted planned year.
Wow.
And I mentioned this because I didn't have to give him a loan to do that, right? We talked about his numbers. We looked at his financials. We looked at his staff. He got his PPP loan. So he had money to fund his payroll for a while. And then he got a chance to breathe, pivot, and run.
Love it. You know, that's interesting because so many times people don't take a deep look at that cash flow and where they are financially, and they just run out and get money because they think that's what they need.
Yeah.
And they might not.
They
And
may not need that.
yeah, that,
And they might. And even if they do need it, it's okay. We can get the money. Everybody's lending, and right now banks are lending at a remarkable interest rate. So if you do need money, right now is a great time to talk to your banker.
I think an interesting part of that story that you shared is also the fact that you folks, with some of these clients with whom you have that relationship, are involved in helping them run some of these financials and things like that. And for years, I have said to my clients that part of asset protection is having advisors that you have a relationship with that know you and your business. And part of any kind of recession survival planning, and we saw this very well from, especially here in Arizona, from about 08 to about 2014 in our recession, was that I kept telling my clients they should not treat their banking relationship like a commodity. It is not like going to the gas station. You need a relationship with people who know you, who know your business, who care about you, who understand your numbers, who understand your potential. Otherwise, you're just numbers on a spreadsheet, and either you paid your loan or you didn't, unless somebody knows something more than that. And one of the things that I found really fascinating about your bio was your business experience as a business owner, as a CPA, as somebody who's run a successful business for many years in more than one place. You perhaps have a little deeper understanding of what's actually going behind the scenes than some of your peers. Has that made a difference for you and your client relationships?
Yeah, substantially. It's interesting too, because I was running my last business when I said to a friend that I was tired. I'd been doing it for 12 years. I didn't want to do it anymore. And I said, I'd become a grandma and I wanted to slow life down and do something different. And I said, I'd love to be a banker like you. And she goes, oh, our bank's hiring. And she goes, send me your resume. And she had to talk me into it. I did it. And I met with her boss and I said, yeah, I've never been a banker. She goes, no, you've been a business owner. She goes, that's what we're looking for.
Yeah.
Because they wanted somebody that had felt that way, that person that went out and had 100 hats on, trying to juggle their business, trying to understand things that they maybe weren't good at, or that could sit down in front of these people and get where they are right now today. And I use it every day. I want to correct you though, I'm not a CPA. I have a minor, that's all. So I'm dangerous where I can.
That's great. And kudos to the bank to seeing that connection, that importance to have people with a business background managing relationships and developing relationships with businesses to support them at a totally different level, which, you and I have always, we talk sometimes for so long, an hour or more. It's like, okay, we could talk forever, but we should probably go now because we have those same commonalities and we see those things from a business perspective. So that's amazing. So tell us a little bit more about enterprise.
Sure. So Enterprise has been around a little over 30 years. Started with an idea from a couple of bankers turned entrepreneurs that actually wrote their business plan on napkins one night. Mm-hmm. They wanted a different kind of bank. They wanted a bank that was completely and authentically dedicated to the success of their clients and their clients' families for their lifetime. And they started out in St. Louis and then went on to Kansas City, Arizona, New Mexico, and we just bought a bank in California. And our business is healthy, publicly traded, worth a little over $8 billion in assets, soon to be probably 9.5 after our acquisition. But we are a small, we're a mid-level bank that acts like a small bank. So we have the lending capacity of 30 million at a time. We can act, and we have the resources that large banks have. We've got a really robust technology that most big banks have, but we have that personal, trusted advisor mentality about everything we do. And it filters through the entire bank, top to bottom, tellers, managers, tech, IT, you name it. Everything's very hands-on. Are you guys familiar with what's called a Net Promoter Score?
No.
Greenwich does a survey, and it surveys people on customer service and customer loyalty. And it's a range of 100 to negative 100. And most banks are around 35 to 39 on that scale. And our Net Promoter Score is a 71.
Whoa, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So when I say that we do all these things to help our customers, we get really involved. It's that range tells you a lot about that.
Yeah.
Customers and their loyalty to us as their bankers.
Wow. That's so important. And going back to that word that you use, trusted advisor,
Mm-hmm.
that is such an important thing because as Ike said, money in the financials piece should not be a commodity. It should be a strategy. It should be something that you've thought through, and to think through it with people who do it all the time, not your broke brother-in-law. Somebody who, this is your business and you have all the resources available to you, and you have all the different perspectives that other people share with you that are in the same challenge is invaluable. It's super important.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. And beyond trusted advisor, because we've been so close with our clients, because we've understand their needs and we've acted on them, we created Enterprise University, which Joseph knows a lot about. Mm-hmm. Enterprise Universities teach and train courses that we provide the community. You don't have to be banking with us to utilize it. On everything that matters in business. We offer classes on marketing, on operations, leadership, finance, you name it. Courses are semester by semester, fall and spring, they're free. Mm-hmm. And it's one of our many give back to the community programs to help our clients grow.
I can attest to it because I've now been a facilitator on 3 different quarters. And recently for the course that I was teaching based on my book, The Leader of You, there were 350 registrations for that. And I was very impressed. Gabrielle Costas, is that how you say her last name? Costales? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And she shared with me that previously to this year, an average semester had about 12 to 1,500 registrations. You guys were over 8,000 or 9,000. Yeah. 8,000 or 9,000 people registered. So it tells you people are hungry for information. And they're hungry for information from trusted resources, right? Like your bank.
Yeah, they definitely are.
Yeah, it's amazing, and it's been great, and you know the technology is there, the support's there. So, like you say, everybody I've come in contact with, from you to everybody, top notch, totally committed to doing the right things the right way, and I love that. Yeah. So I'd like to have you go back, Julie, and I know you're in this business every single day. Maybe a couple more stories about some pivots, some things that people have done that you go, wow, that was a great idea, or wow, kudos. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I told you my PPE story. I'll tell you a fun one. I have a dry cleaner client that, dry cleaners took huge hits, right?
Can't imagine.
We're rarely wearing our clothes that require dry cleaning. And he called me and we went through a series of conversations about how do you pivot in his industry. And he did several things. First thing he did was he went out to these people who are in the wedding industry, because people are still getting married, even if it's just the two of them, they're wearing their wedding dresses, and he wanted to help them to clean them. So that got him some new business. But the most unique thing is he sat down with his team and he said, what do? We clean things. What else can we clean? And they actually decided to put out window cleaning and house cleaning, spent about 30 days ramping it up, branding their program, bringing on a couple more people. And then they went out with flyers to everybody that they do dry clean for and say, you want your house cleaned? Do you need your windows cleaned? And it's sustaining them. They're doing quite well with it. Who would have thought?
Who would have thought? Yeah, that's amazing.
Yes.
Got another one?
I do. Let's see. A distillery in town. Again, shut straight down. Great business, well known in the community. When they shut down, they started making hand sanitizer, and he is doing really, really well with the hand sanitizer.
Love it. See, it's interesting. You said something, and I need to go back to this. The dry cleaner sat down with his team.
Yeah.
And they talked about, what can we do? We clean things. What else could we clean? Mm-hmm. That word collaboration is so critically important for us to focus on for a minute, because I believe there are answers for almost every business challenge we will ever face. Yeah. You just might not know them independently. You may need to collaborate with somebody else, whether it's your team. Never be surprised at how much your team knows that you don't know they know, because you haven't reached out to them. You haven't sat down on the purpose and say, guys, I don't have an answer. We probably do. Let's talk about the problem and come up with some answers. And there's a process to collaboration and brainstorming, as it was called years ago. I've not heard brainstorming forever, but now it's collaboration. But the idea of whether it's a mastermind group, or whether it's your own team, or whether it's just somebody that your banker, your attorney, your business consultant coach, somebody that you can say, hey guys, I got this problem and I don't know what to do. And we go through a process. It's not just like the idea comes off the top of your head. There's a process that people go through to uncover hidden ideas. And it might come from somebody that's brand new to the business. They know nothing, but they have an idea that they saw someplace else and go, wow, gee, that's a good idea. And so one of the things we do with our clients, we collaborate and strategize all the time. I've got a new client we're starting with tomorrow who has a pretty large business here in Phoenix, who is trying to go to the next level. He's already gotten to a level where most people would feel successful, because I want to go bigger and I don't know how to do that. So can we sit down and talk? So our first couple of meetings are just him and I just talking about where are you? Where would you like to go? And what are you doing to get there? And then we start to strategize about all the options. Then we'll bring his team in and we'll get them not just collaborating, but creating buy-in, so people are invested in the solution, and amazing things are going to happen. It happens all the time that way. So that's collaboration, not just with your team, but others. Again, it could be your banker, could be your attorney. Maybe it's an attorney you don't have right now, because some guys are just so focused on the law, they're not focused on opportunity. Would that be correct, Ike?
Yeah. I think people get boxed in and to following a routine, and have trouble, looking outside that and looking at the mechanics of whatever brought them to the point of whatever success that they're at.
Yeah. And I think that's another great word to kind of resonate in our heads. Don't get boxed in. This is not the time right now. This is not the time you want to be stuck in a box and just keep doing the same thing over and over and over that you used to do, hoping that the industry or the environment's going to change. So what you used to do works. You may have to stretch out there. So Julie, you have some amazing things. I'm going off script here, going off question here. What else would you like to share with our listeners? We've got maybe 5-6 minutes left. What else would you like to share? What's on your heart?
I think I'd really love to tell you a little bit, or your listeners, about what it looks like when you go to the bank for a loan. I know a lot of small business owners will rush to the bank. They want the loan. You mentioned it earlier, Joseph, that people sometimes feel desperate. They run out and they try to get a loan. They get rejection, then they go to those high interest rate loans, and then they get themselves caught up in a bad situation. when you come to your lender, when you're ready and you want to have some money to grow your business, especially right now, you need to be really prepared. And there's a list of things that bankers look at all the time to say whether or not they believe or trust that this individual is going to pay them back, have the ability to pay them back. So some of those things are, good cash flow, right? But not just for the business. So let's say your business is struggling right now, but your home has cash flow, meaning you're married and there's other money coming in, you have other investments in. So we look at global cash flow, which is you and your business combined. Combined, you can handle making this monthly payment for this loan, and you've also got good credit and you've got a plan in place, then you might get the loan. I say might because I try to explain it to people. I try to explain it like this to people. Joseph, if I came into you and I said, hey, I heard that you had $100,000 you were lending out to friends. Well, I would love for you to lend that money to me. I've got bad credit. It's not great. I have some late payments and things, and I have no collateral. I have nothing I can give you to hang on to while I prove that I'm making you payments. And but I really need this money because my business is just flailing. And if I could put your money into my business will now grow. Does it sound like a good investment for you?
No.
No, but that's what people expect a bank to do.
Yeah.
To say, we understand you're in a bad situation. Let me hand you some money. What they need to do is strategize and plan. They need to have a forecast of future profits revenues. They need to understand their expenses. When you have a conversation with your banker and they're asking you questions about your financials, you should be able to answer what that question is. So spend some time on your numbers, understand your numbers. It's very important. You need to be able to have collateral. And if you don't have collateral, meaning the things that the bank can hold on to while for the term of the loan, then there are things we can do. We can utilize the SBA for lending, and they essentially cover that, what we call collateral shortfall for you. But then that creates a whole bunch of other things that you need to have. The other thing is patience. Bankers will come back and ask questions and for more documents. And I've had a lot of people say, I gave them everything right up front. Why are they asking me for more? Well, that's because we're still trying to figure out who you are. We see something, and so we want more evidence so that we can understand the total picture of who you are. We're not doing it to cause you pain and hardship.
Yeah.
So when you're coming for that money, give them everything they need. Tell them the true story of your financial situation. And the other thing is, if you're not rushing for money and you're not in a desperate situation where you need to talk to a banker, but you're planning for your future for that growth, then I would advise you to have a consultation with your tax advisor and tell them that you are looking for a loan down the road, a line of credit, so you can utilize this money, or you want to buy a piece of equipment down the road. And tell them this before they do your taxes. Because there's two things. There's tax planning to help you not pay a lot in taxes. But if your bottom line is in the negative, and we as a bank can't identify why it's there, and we don't think you have the cash flow, but you know you do because you did something with your taxes legally to pay taxes, right? Yeah. You're in a catch-22, right? Or catch-21. You are going to have a situation where the bank's going, gosh, but you don't have enough money to pay for it. And you're going to sit here going, but I do have the money, but we can't see it. So where is it? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Tax planners know when they say we're ready to be bankable, a tax planner knows how to fill out your taxes. And that might be a little controversial thing for me to say. It's the way business is done.
I've seen that for years as well. For instance, we have part of my client base includes many physicians and other business owners who are the principal. And they will sometimes say something like, well, we really don't make any money. Everything is expensed. Right. And then when you start asking questions about that, they're expensing $20,000 a month or something, and they're not showing anything in the business for tax purposes. It's questionable both from the accounting standpoint, certainly, and it creates problems when then they come to you looking for help and can only show you financials, which are not as straightforward as they should be. And then many bankers have told me that that is in itself a red flag. When I see somebody doing things that they shouldn't be doing, it makes me wonder how my relationship with them is going to go.
Yeah.
And you made another interesting comment about cash flow. One of the things that we've always advised clients to do, especially we've done many things on recession survival, is adjust their personal and business cash flow to meet their current reality. And we see a whole bunch of people that are high earners, that are high net worth, that refuse to do that. And if they come to you looking for a loan, but have, you know, 50 grand a month in fixed expenses between 3 kids in private school, a big house payment, 4 car payments, and everything else that adds up, it's just not there for you. It's just math, right? I mean, is that part of what you're seeing as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Interesting. Well, I'm gonna say I continue to be even more impressed with you, Julie, as a banker, as a business professional, and even my co-host here. We've been doing this now 18 weeks, something like that, and I met you back at the beginning of the year on a radio program that we were both speaking on. And I continue to be impressed with you, which is amazing because it just keeps opening opportunities to get even better at what we do. I'm going to ask people that are watching this, if you took a picture of this screen right here, these are 3 of your trusted advisors you should probably have on your team. Because from a banking standpoint, from a legal standpoint, asset protection standpoint, and from a business development and leadership standpoint, we've got pretty strong crew here on this screen, and so that's a compliment to all of us. I guess, Julie, I'm going to give you just another minute, and if you have any closing statements or anything you'd like to say to kind of tie this all up, we're all ears.
Yeah, I would just say that, well, first of all, thank you for having me on here. Really appreciate it. If there is anybody who's listening that would be interested in a cash flow analysis of their company and somebody who can come in and take a look at what's going on and help you possibly pivot, I would love to hear from you. It doesn't cost you a dime to have a trusted advisor from Enterprise discuss your numbers and how to help you.
Okay. Perfect. And thank you. And I hope people take advantage of that. Your contact information will be on a screen that my assistant will put into the video here, so people can reach out to you directly, as well as Ike. If you have questions about asset protection and about legal matters in general that are in his area of expertise, he'd love to hear from you. We do this as much as a public service for people to help people in our communities or in our society and in business to, as I've said many times before, to not just survive. Survive is like just hang on. This is thrive. What are the things that you can and should be doing to help your business or yourself personally? Maybe you don't own a business. Maybe you're in sales, or maybe you work for somebody else. How do you take this information and move to the next level so you're thriving, so you're taking advantage of the opportunities that are out there, and growing and building your business and your profession? That's really what we're all about. So, Ike, any final comments or questions as we draw to a close?
I guess my last question, Julie, is there money available for those who are qualified, who want to buy a business and take advantage of the opportunities available right now? Because Joseph and I are going to have somebody on in the future who's a business broker in the very near future to discuss that issue. But from the capital side, is there money available out there for entrepreneurs right now?
Absolutely, and it is an amazing time right now to get an acquisition loan. The interest rates again couldn't be better. Acquisition financing is something that we actually specialize in, whether it be a conventional loan or an SBA loan. The one thing that everyone has to be very cognitive of is the PPP loan. If they got a PPP loan, I'm talking about the person selling their business. If you're buying a business and they have a PPP loan and it hasn't gone through forgiveness, then the SBA has to sign off that it's okay for you to sell that business. So be very careful when you're when you're going through this process, don't
Great
try
point.
and buy it and close escrow before that seller has notified the SBA and gotten their permission.
Thank you. That's a very important point that folks may overlook and not understand who carries that liability. So that's true both in a share purchase and in an asset purchase in both cases, right?
It is. We're
One is effectively a wind down of the existing company on the transfer.
right. We're actually working with somebody right now who's buying out a retiring partner. That was a majority, and so that's a share. And we're waiting right now. Their attorney is working with them to get their forgiveness finished so that they can finish this acquisition.
Right.
Well, there you go. See, it's all those little hidden things that nobody would know unless this is your business, and this is your business, money, and this is your business, asset protection. So with that, I'm gonna bring us to a close, and again say thank you so much, Julie, for joining us today on Business in the New Normal to share your expertise and to share some ideas about how people can thrive and how they can pivot and how they can move forward with a really strong business. Because as I said in the beginning, there's a lot of changes coming, and I don't know what they look like, but I just know that as they change and we have our feet, firmly planted on the ground with a direction, with a plan. You said something about a plan, having a plan. So many people are just reacting. Stop. Think about what you're doing. Take inventory of who you have on your team, what your assets are, who your banker is, who your lawyer is, who where you're getting your advisement from. We talk about, don't talk to other people that are failing in business if you don't want to fail as well. Talk to people that's what our business is to help people grow. So with that, I'll again say thank you, Julie, so much. It was a pleasure. And to my co-host, Ike, always wisdom and insight from your end. I appreciate that. And at this point, I'll say thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. This is Joseph Rosales signing off for Business in the New Normal. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.